That is Gachagua versus Karua, and it's a face-off. One is a dyed-in-the-wool legal purist who made a name in the trenches of the Second Liberation and the Kibaki years, and the other a hard-nosed administrator who rose through the ranks to build a career in the tempest of the Moi years. Now both want to be Kenya's deputy president, but away from the fact that they're just a heartbeat away from the presidency, in Rigathi versus Karua is a titanic battle for the soul of Mount Kenya. So the questions they're asking, who will strike the right chords? This will be a very interesting day indeed.
Well, thanks a lot for the opportunity. Now, there are many people who are not sure whether the running mate would actually show up for the debates, but I think it's done the nation very well to create time for these debates. But the big question would be tonight is that what is the unique selling proposition for Martha Karua and Rigathi Gachagua? What do they bring to the table? And how does their skill, experience, knowledge in public administration benefit Mura? Because the elephant in the room today is about economics. The cost of living is extremely high. We even have a subsidy for our food, but I mean for ugali. Actually, I think it's right to say ugali food in Kenya because they are synonymous. But we've been told that it's going only to last for 4 weeks. So what we expect from these leaders is to give us permanent solutions, because it doesn't make sense to reduce the cost of ugali for only 4 weeks. We'd like it to be permanent. They need to address the structural issue. So it would be very interesting for Gachagua today to come, and when he's making his presentation, to give us his unique selling proposition. That in one word, how do you describe Gachagua? And in one word, how do you describe Karua? Karua has got a very good record, a stellar record on issues of governance and corruption. And even when she was taking a decision to join Azimio la Umoja, One Kenya Alliance, she said that she evaluated the two camps and established, and these are her own words, that the two camps have got impurities, but there were fewer impurities within Azimio la Umoja, One Kenya Alliance. And it's on that basis that she took the decision. And you know, she's excited the civil society, and a number of civil society activists who are seated on the fence have now moved to the camp. And on the other side, there is Gachagua, who is said to have a big bank balance and who has got a very high capacity for mobilization.
Right.
So tonight, what people want to see or expect to see is the various intellectual infrastructure and capacity. Because should anything happen to their principles, one of these is likely to be the next president of Kenya. But something that I find intriguing is why the media in Kenya liked to refer to Gachagua as a former DO. But you see, former DO was his entry job. I keep on asking myself, why don't they tell us his rise rank when he left office? Why is there this high affinity for former DO? Because if they want to use that as an indication, then they should also tell us that Martha Karua is a former magistrate. So I keep on asking myself, former DO, former magistrate, why aren't we given the full picture? That, for instance, can Martha Karua discuss Kenya's GDP? And can Gachagua discuss Kenya's constitution? Because, you know, Gachagua understands the public administration, and on the other hand, Martha Karua is very good with the constitution. So can they discuss the reverse? Like, for instance, can Martha Karua tonight address the cost of living in Kenya, address the cost of energy, and can Gachagua quote the Kenyan constitution outside section 2A?
So that will be very interesting.
Yes.
Beatrice, what would perhaps be the key highlights for you as we head to the debate later?
Thank you very much, and I think I'll just
we just apologize. We'll fix your microphone in just a moment, so we're not getting your sound very properly. Dr. Duncan, let me get your reaction on. We've got any back? Okay, great. So, Beatrice, maybe you can continue.
Okay, thank you. I think it will be very interesting, and first of all, it's important to note that both of them should be very aware that within the Constitution, they are indeed sitting in a seat that at any time, if anything happens, you become the president of this country. And that is why Kenyans would want to, I think it's the first time after we've seen what has happened for 10 years, Kenyans have realized it's important to know who is your deputy president, because he can either rock the country or build the country. And so for us, when I look at Martha, who started in her old days when we were young girls, we admired her because being the first lawyer who stood for reforms at that time, went to court with the Chief Justice, and they decided in a pro bono to be a lawyer of now the Right Honorable Raila Odinga. And then moving on as a magistrate, moving on in civil society. I think now I worked under her when she was at the League of Kenya Women Voters, and we were very young paralegals at that time. And then moving on now to come into Parliament, to the Shogo, where again, having been privileged to be among those who used to go and train women on her behalf. And so now when I look at Gachagua, being a DO, moving from a DO, becoming a businessman, working a bit in now the president, as a PA of the president, has learned a lot, I believe, in terms of how government does, and both of them having an opportunity to work in government as a minister, Martha, and then now, each of them have their own good, rich experience. But for me as a woman now, I want to look at Martha now as a woman. And not just a woman, but what substance do you bring on the table so that men don't just think you're a woman? Because that is what we go through now. Women, even when you are campaigning, and the men are looking at you. You've said everything, but now they still look at you, and you are supposed to perform much better, beyond better, for you now to reach at the level men will feel, oh yeah, that woman. I mean, and that's the challenge we face as women as we move into these political positions on decision making. But more importantly, I would want to hear the policy of now, how do we ensure women in this country, women who are 80% in the agricultural sector, 80% right now who are taking care of families, are able now to look at the policies that they are bringing on the table and how we move into the next dawn of Kenya.
All right. Nanka, let me get your take as well as we move forward to the next story.
Thank you. Good morning. Yep, it will be a debate worth watching. I anticipate a lot of firework. You know, both of them passed very well in those days to pass and go to University of Nairobi. I think one went for public administration, bachelor's, one did law, became a lawyer. There is similarity, there is difference, because that is where the similarity ends, and the rest, everybody took their different detour. So whether we are going to have continuity or change, whether Gachagua is going to angle and show us that we can expect change in the next government. You know, what Martha did as the Minister of Justice, what he did or didn't do with Githongo Dozia as the Minister of Justice, what she did or didn't do as the Minister of Justice with the Mungiki killing. Those will come up, I anticipate. What she did or didn't do, described by Raila in his book, The Flame of Freedom, as anti-democratic. That is described by his own patron in the book, Flame for Freedom. As my lawyer, what she said, because I talked to her and she represented us as friends of the court, amicus in BBI, and her opening remark was the modern dictator changed laws to suit and amass more power in the executive. So she has a lot of explaining to do, the same to Gachagua. And I think at the end of the day, it's going to be a worth debate, because one is walking in as a reformist, and another one is walking in probably as an underdog, as only knowing economy. But it will be a marketplace of ideas. Kenyans will choose which idea they buy today.
All right. So we'll certainly be getting much deeper on that when we come